Fazia. Have you started streaming? No, you are not. So let me refresh. It's still showing yesterday's feed. What's wrong with the ones from yesterday? Isn't it the same page? Oh, okay. Okay, can you share that then? But I thought it's the link. I thought the link does not change. How's it? Oh, yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah. I can't see anything online. How does this thing keep changing now? What is the problem? It changed again. Highway Studio. Why is it changing again? There we have 2 highway Kenyas. on the Zoom. No. George has just joined us.
Hello, sir. Highway Studio Lagos doesn't have the right thing.
Doesn't have what?
Co-host right. You need to have co-host right.
I thought I saw George just now. Oh. Yeah, how did that happen, Viola? They were co-hosts before, so how did that happen?
I really do not know why that keeps happening.
George came up and then it's gone off again. Oh, George is back. Is it? Yeah, he's back. Okay. Hello, George.
Hello, can you hear me and can you see me?
We can hear you, but we cannot see you yet. Where are you? Oh yeah, we can see you.
Hello. How are you all doing?
We're good, my friend.
George. Hey everybody. No, great to be here. Excited.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so you can all hear me and see me quite clearly, can't you?
Yes. So yeah, maybe a co-host. Do you want me to unspot all these frames and just leave you there, George?
So what I'll be doing is I will, if I can, here is what you'll see of me. Let me quickly share. Let me close everything. So what you will be seeing is this. Can you see my name here?
Yes, I can. Pause here.
And then you can still see a picture of me?
No picture.
How about now? So you should be able to see a picture of me still in Zoom. Let me.
Yeah, we can. We're only seeing your screen.
Okay. All right. What about that now?
Yeah, now we can see that now. We can see you now. We can see you in your screen now.
And you can see my name, yes?
We can see your name, yes.
Okay. I'll probably do it like this then, if that's okay.
Okay. Fauzia, is that okay for you? Have you guys started streaming now, Fauzia?
We have just without responding.
And when I'm talking, if I'm talking to the presenters or the Q&A, I'll just flick and just have a screen of me for the presentation, for the Q&A and the speech, and then I'll go back into my live view mode here with the presentation. If that's all okay.
That's okay, yeah.
Brilliant.
No, he hasn't yet. He hasn't yet. He hasn't yet. Yeah, go on. George.
Yeah.
So we have this promo thing going on now. The DaVinci panel. Fauzia, is there a way we can show George that, or how do we do that? Okay, I mean, it's the ongoing promo. Is the DaVinci Resolve 17 Studio with a free panel. You know, the one that
with the speed editor.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we got that. We're pushing that. We've got like a little design that we're gonna try and show you the picture or the image so you see it. So we got that coming, and then we've got the free battery grip for the Pocket 6K Pro for the first 3 camera watches.
Okay, so for the first 3 6K Pro cameras that are purchased from the webinar today?
From the webinar, yes.
Okay, so the first 3 6K Pros that are purchased today after this webinar will also receive one of our free battery pro grips, which I obviously mentioned and spoke about in the webinar. Okay.
Yeah, and Chris Waddington is keen to push the DaVinci Resolve software, because we're going to be doing DaVinci Resolve webinar coming soon. So we want you to, as much as possible, tell people about that Resolve. I'm sure you come across Resolve all the time in your keynote speech. So anytime you come across it, just say, guys, don't forget, we've got the free keypad if you get the DaVinci Resolve software, something like that.
Okay, yeah, I come across it maybe once or twice, so not too much, but I can kind of then reiterate and say,
exactly.
We have the DaVinci Studio, and still remember that if you purchase DaVinci Studio, then you can get a free speed editor that's included with your purchase.
From the guys from Highway, yeah.
From the guys from Highway, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
No pressure.
All right. So Fauzia, you want to say something?
And I'm going to say Karibu.
Oh, yeah. He's practicing his Swahili. Can you please help him?
Karibu and Asante?
Yes. So Asante is at the end. So Asante, everyone, means thank you. And Karibu means welcome, everybody.
Karibu, everybody.
Exactly.
Okay, no pressure. Okay, so I'm just going to confirm again that you're happy with how the presentation is going to look. That's what the presentation will, I mean, I'll be able to take it off the slides so it's not blocking it, but on some slides, you know, that's how I will appear throughout the presentation, exactly like that. Is that okay?
Hello, sir. There's a challenge with you. Zoom out. We're doing 4 images at a time. Please make your copy of it. And people are already copying it. You said no. You said no. Like you don't make it. Don't worry. But they are doing it.
All right, Fauzia, can you hear me?
Okay.
Hello, Fauzia. Hello, Fauzia, can you hear me? Phone. Hi, George.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm just doing a line check to be sure I can hear you. That's good. I can hear you clearly.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Oh. Oh, okay. George.
Good afternoon, Team Black Magic from Africa. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today. We appreciate you for that time you've sacrificed to be here and part of this webinar. My name is Fauzia, and joining me today is my colleague from Highway Nigeria, Steve, who's going to speak to you in a while. But before that, guys, during this session, you can ask your questions on the comment section, on the chats, and they'll be handled at the end of the webinar, at the end of the presentation that you are all waiting for. So, Steve.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. To all my friends, Kenya, West Africa, all over the world watching on YouTube and Facebook, I say good afternoon. It's good to have you all here. It has been a wonderful time together. Yesterday was explosive, and today is going to be wonderful. I promise you that. Just a quick reminder, I know a few people might be joining today for the very first time. We had a gift yesterday, and the gift did not expire yesterday. It's still going on. We promised as Highway Audiovisual that if you buy any of Atem Extreme video switcher, the first 3 people that will buy the Atem Mini Extreme switcher will get the Atem Mini switcher for free. The first 3 people that will buy the Atem Extreme switcher will get 1 Atem Mini for free. And this promo lasts till this Friday. I mean this Friday. So if you want to latch onto that, call our office, send us a DM, or send us an email so that we can place your order immediately. I repeat, the first 3 people that place an order for the Atem Extreme will get 1 Atem Mini. Over to you, Fauzia, for the other promos.
Thank you so much, Steve. Yes, guys, for those of us who are joining us today for the first time, as you've heard from Steve, we have an ongoing promo that started yesterday. If you purchase an Atem Mini Extreme unit, you get an Atem Mini for free. This is something that you can't just miss. First 3 people to make that purchase before Friday. And also we have another promo that is starting today. That is, if you purchase a Pocket 6K Pro camera, you get a free battery grip. And also we have an ongoing promo for DaVinci. If you purchase DaVinci Resolve Studio 17, you get the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor keyboard for free. This is an offer that you cannot miss from anywhere. Guys, remember that this offer only goes till Friday. So you better rush and get this promo before it expires. Yes, guys, joining us today is George Dupay, a Black Magic Technical Sales Specialist. We are so pleased to have you here today, George. We don't want to take much of your time because I know you have plenty in stock for us. So welcome, George.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. And I've been practicing my Swahili, so karibu, everybody. I think I did that right, didn't I? But no, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm really excited. This is my first time presenting to your region, so I'm really excited to get started and help teach people a little bit more about the Pocket 6K Pro camera.
Yes, George, thank you so much. I think you'll just take us to your presentation directly because we want to give you all the plenty of time so that you can give us all the juicy things that you've carried with you. We want to give you as much of time as possible, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well then, let's get started. I'll get the presentation up. Okay, yeah, so thank you very much for that introduction. So yeah, my name is George Dupay, and I'm a technical sales specialist here at Blackmagic Design EMEA, specializing primarily in the digital cinema side of the business. And today I'm really excited to bring you a brand new webinar that's focusing, again, as I mentioned, on the recently announced Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. So this camera expands upon the foundations of the incredibly popular and already successful Pocket Cinema family. And what we've done really with the 6K Pro is take many of the existing technical features and really boasting some brand new ergonomic additions that you would more commonly find on some of our larger cameras. And the ultimate aim of this is really to provide you, the end user, with a brand new wealth of versatile new options. So before I get into the presentation, we're just going to have a look at what we're going to be covering today. So we'll start by looking at the Pocket Cinema Camera family and really look at the existing Pocket family's features, applications, and really the notable differences and how they've influenced the design of the 6K Pro. After that, we'll look at some of the 6K Pro features. So really looking at some of the innovative new features and ergonomic additions that the 6K Pro family brings to the table. After that, we'll touch on some of the core shared technology, really looking at what unites the Blackmagic camera family as a whole, so including both our pocket cameras and our Ursa cameras. And after that, we'll take a look at some real-world user stories. So we'll really look at some of the different usage scenarios and the target markets that the Pocket family works within before we finish on a Q&A. So again, if you have any questions during the presentation, just jot them down into the Q&A box, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you at the end. So without further ado, let's start by looking at our range of existing Pocket 4K and 6K cinema cameras. And again, these were really developed on the foundation of our hugely popular and successful original Pocket Cinema Camera HD. And this is really the camera that impacted the design of the 6K Pro. So, as I'm sure a lot of you are already aware, the real main technological push behind the Pocket 4K camera came from the need for the Pocket camera family to be able to shoot internal 4K resolution. Both of these cameras, the 4K and the 6K, were really based around the same accessible design, having the advantage of small and lightweight 750 gram polycarbonate bodies, yet still producing those crisp Blackmagic cinema quality images in a market that really had a need for this small and compact form factor style camera. So the entire Pocket family, the Pocket 4K and the 6K, offer very similar core shared technology. You have an easy to use menu system, you have 13 stops of dynamic range with dual native ISO, you have internal Blackmagic RAW recording and that unique sensor technology. And this really makes it ideal for creatives needing a range of options while still retaining the critical features you have come to expect from our cameras. But where the Pocket 4K and the 6K differ slightly is that the Pocket 4K has the benefit of those compact, lightweight lenses to help keep the overall package small due to its native 4K 4/3 sensor size and that micro 4/3 lens mount. But the Pocket 6K, on the other hand, has a Super 35mm sensor, which allows for better depth of field control, the more prominent bokeh, and that ability to rescale or reframe from that new 6K resolution. And with this new sensor also comes a new native EF lens mount, which really enables a wide range of that superb EF glass, and it helps make it accessible and really helps support our Blackmagic customers who already have that existing glass. And here on this slide, you can clearly see how the sensor size has really dictated the type of lens mounts and ultimately your choice of lenses. And again, this is the primary difference between the Pocket 4K and the Pocket 6K. The 4K again being built around that smaller, tried and tested full 4/3 format with a micro 4/3 lens mount and a full resolution of 4096 by 2160. But the Pocket 6K, on the other hand, changes this for the larger Super 35mm native 6K sensor size with that built-in EF standard mount and a maximum resolution of 6144 by 3,456. It's very easy for me to talk about the technical differences between the cameras, but for people like yourselves who are shooting with the cameras, you probably care more about the creative and the aesthetic benefits of choosing these different sensor sizes or lens mounts. So the combination of the EF lenses and that Super 35mm format, again, affects the image in a more prominent and shallower depth of field, and that amplified bokeh due to the larger sensor. And this can very often be considered far more cinematic and desirable for many customers. The Super 35mm sensor and that EF lens mount really unleash new possibilities for cinematic coverage due to that vast array of lenses available. But it's also important for me to mention that the choice between the cameras really comes down to your preference, your lenses, your production, and ultimately the aim of what you're wanting to shoot. Because the Pocket 4K has a really fantastic user base of creatives using that micro 4/3 mount for those lighter weight lenses to help keep the package small. And also some productions, such as run and gun productions or documentaries, prefer the deeper depth of field that the smaller 4/3 sensor offers, which obviously makes it easier to keep subjects in focus and really reduces the issue of blurred subjects that you may find yourselves with. But now let's move on to the 6K Pro. So obviously, in addition to the 4K and the 6K pocket cameras, which are still readily available and widely used in the market, we obviously now have the brand new Pocket 6K Pro, which, as I mentioned, has really added some heavily requested ergonomic additions to improve both functionality and operability of the camera. So it's important for me to mention first and foremost that the new 6K Pro still maintains all of the key features of the popular and successful Pocket 6K. So despite it being a brand new camera, we've still made sure to retain all of the same core technology. Really, we've only updated and improved on what is already a very incredible camera. So because of this, you can still expect the same Super 35mm sensor with dual ISO. You've got those 13 stops of dynamic range. You've got those high frame rates. You've got that native 6K recording, that internal Blackmagic RAW codec recording, and our easy-to-use Blackmagic operating system. What we've really done with this camera is primarily increase the versatility, operability, and the overall ease of use of the camera through these additional features, which helps both the creator whilst also allowing the product to stand apart and also allowing it to fit in with the rest of the Pocket Cinema camera lineup. So probably most importantly for a lot of customers is the inclusion of the new internal motorized NDs. So when we were designing these new internal motorized NDs, we really did this due to a large number of customer requests from people who really wanted to avoid having to rig their small and compact pocket cameras with maybe a large matte box and those external filters, which can very often hinder the operator in certain shooting scenarios. And again, for a lot of our customers, one of the main reasons why they would buy a pocket camera is because of that small form factor size. So this would really defeat the purpose of the camera by having to rig it with large external accessories. Now, these new NDs operate via a new slide system, and you have the controls positioned on the top rear of the camera. And you have an ND plus and an ND minus button. And these range from clear, 2, 4, and 6 stops. And here you can really see from the animation how they change in an instance. Again, I can talk about the technical side of the NDs, but creatively, what does this do for your production? So these NDs feature infrared glass, and they're specifically color balanced to match our sensor. And this really allows the creator to use these NDs really without any worry of aesthetic changes to their production. Because of this, you have the option to alter your depth of field while still maintaining an acceptable amount of light. And again, without the hassle of adding those additional accessories onto your camera. A nice short but sweet note to mention here is the addition of an extra high quality and really reliable mini XLR port. So whereas the Pocket 4K and the 6K have one mini XLR port, we now have the option of two on the side of the camera, again with rubber eye caps over all of the I/O ports for that additional protection. And it can also be detached whenever required. Now, our mini XLRs are really a professional connection, yet still perfectly fit the size of the camera and still maintain the exact same pro preamps as the previous models, the 4K and the 6K. Now, these analog mini XLRs are switchable between mic with phantom power support, and you have line level up to plus 14 dBu. And when you combine this with our 3.5mm stereo input, which can be used for timecode, an integrated stereo microphone, and the built-in mono speaker, you can really see how there's a wide and vast range of possibilities to capture audio, which makes this the perfect pocket camera iteration to capture those documentary productions or for maybe a fast-paced dialogue scene. Another key benefit and key feature of the new camera is the brand new 5-inch ultra bright HDR touchscreen monitor. Now, this monitor still boasts the exact same intuitive user interface, easy to touch sensitivity, but now we have an increased brightness of 1500 nits compared to the Pocket 6K's 700 nit screen. And you can tell from this that it really makes it the ideal companion for outdoor use with bright sunlight or in those very tricky lighting situations. You can still control your frame rates, your shutter angle, your ISO, and your white balance all from the home screen. And this really does make it such an efficient tool whilst on set, and now with the added bonus of true HDR color fidelity and reproduction. So this new ultra bright touchscreen is also now connected to an articulating and 135-degree tilt function. You now have 90-degree tilt function upwards and a 45-degree tilt function downwards. Now, in this feature, you can really see the new capabilities for allowing the 6K Pro to be operated in more difficult and hard to use positions. And again, this really provides the shooter with a brand new range of camera angles and possibilities to shoot with. And again, this really just reinforces our aim of boosting functionality and operability to the end user when using this camera. So after that, let's move now on to the brand new optional Pocket Camera Pro EVF. So this brand new operable design was really founded on a combination of customer feedback from end users like yourselves, and then also through our very well received and well respected industry standard 1080p OLED Ursa EVF, which is the EVF that has been used on our bigger Ursa cameras for quite some time now. Our customers really did love the ability to be able to focus more intently through an EVF. And this helped to remove any additional light that may affect the image that is seen on screen, whilst simultaneously really allowing more focus on the scene at hand for maybe those more dramatic and serious moments when you don't want any distractions from the outside world and you want to be able to purely focus on what you're shooting. And you can really see how adaptable the EVF is for that close handheld work, or maybe when you're out shooting run and gun style as well. Now, as you can see from this image on screen, the detachable EVF mounts directly on top of the body. It boasts a 1280 by 960 resolution. It has a plus and a -4 diopter range, and it uses a proprietary connector on the top of the camera. And this can be tightened or released simply by a thumb screw almost instantaneously. And the benefit of this is that it helps really remove the issue of tools whilst on set. It really makes for a seamless transition from your screen to your new EVF. And other exciting features include a digital focus guide with user interface information. You have the built-in eye-cut proximity detector, which is very similar to our Ursa EVF proximity detector. And this is really to help switch off the display screen when it's not in use to help save on that vital and important power consumption. Now, all of this power and data of the new EVF is via that proprietary high density pin connector, which is automatically connected as soon as you screw it into the top of the camera mount. It's important for me to mention that there are also different sized silicon eye cups provided, including a left eye and a right eye option, again, just to reinforce our aim of boosting functionality and operability to the end user. So now let's move on to the Pocket Camera Battery Pro Grip. So with the new addition of this optional Pocket Camera Battery Pro Grip, you now have a larger 2-cell capacity, which allows for approximately 1 hour of recording per battery, depending on your camera settings. And this is really a vast improvement over the Pocket 4K and the 6K. So this brand new Battery Pro Grip uses 2 NPF 570 batteries, and it's very different to the original. There's now no need to remove the internal battery. Instead, it just simply connects via pins onto the base of the camera. And as the internal battery can now be left in, you can have 3 fully charged batteries available all at once. And again, this should now give you around 3 hours of recording time, obviously depending on your frame rates or your recording formats or the type of codec and compression that you're using. And this really is perfect for customers wishing to shoot for longer periods of time, or maybe if you're out in the field with those limited power supplies. And from this quick animation, you can really see how the grips screw seamlessly into the bottom of the camera body. And these feature non-slip hand grips, and they're really designed to perfectly match the polycarbonate of the camera body. And here you have the ability to also charge batteries in the grip via the camera's 12-volt DC power connection, should you wish to do so. And it's worth mentioning that this is the exact Battery Pro Grip that will be given away for free for the first 3 purchases of the Pocket Camera 6K Pro after this webinar, which I think is very great and very exciting news for a lot of you shooters, because this really is an accessory that is great to have for those of you wishing to shoot for those longer periods of time. So now that we've taken a look at the Pocket family, we've taken a look at the Pocket 4K and the Pocket 6K, and really how that's impacted the design of the 6K Pro. And obviously now we've taken a look at also at the 6K Pro, some of the brand new ergonomic additions. But I think it's important to mention that all of our cameras are based on the same design and shared technology, which really aims for operability and simplicity, really regardless of what camera you're shooting with. Now, what makes this the best camera range is really best described by what lives inside our cameras. We really saw a position in the market for an accessible small form factor camera that can really produce those amazing images. So we've shown you the products, but now let's show you the core and really look at how nothing is compromised at all in any of our cameras, be it from the Pocket family all the way up to the Ursa family. So speed and efficiency. Speed and efficiency is very integral when operating our products. The Blackmagic operating system is very simple and intuitive to use. You have the ability to update firmware in the field and really provide more functionality. So our bright full HD touchscreens are very easy to frame, focus, and shoot accurately with. You have no need for menus or maybe some of those rotary dials that some people find a bit tricky to use. You have purely fast and logical access to really show only what is needed on screen. Whether you want to change your resolution, your frame rate, your ISO, or to view our library of LUTs and presets. And the main menu also allows you to set up the camera however you want. You can access metadata, or you can check those all-important media or battery levels. And you can still swipe to add or remove settings depending on other choices made, such as maybe your frame rates being related to your recording format. And finally, it's also worth me mentioning that you can also control the camera remotely via Bluetooth on either an iPad or an iPhone through a designated Blackmagic app. Now, not only does every Blackmagic design camera offer non-proprietary CFast and SD media, but they also offer USB-C recording. Now, this USB-C port enables you to record directly to external USB-C drives or those flash drives. And this really helps the end user utilize a more cost-effective media solution with that greater size capacity than those smaller media cards that you may have already. And this is very vital when shooting corporate or documentary footage, which can often require longer periods of time shooting. Another added benefit of USB-C recording is that it also speeds up the post-production process, as you can edit or even grade from the same drives that you're recording onto by simply recording onto it, unplugging it, plugging it into whatever workstation you're using, and then begin your edit or your grade. And power is also supported by USB-C, as you can charge the batteries within the camera. Just make sure that your camera is turned off before you do this, because you cannot run the camera live simultaneously. Another key and important example of our technical development is in our dual ISO sensors, which are only available in our Pocket family. Now, these sensors were really developed as customers in this specific market space were really looking to be able to shoot in lower light at those higher resolutions. Now, we began building our own proprietary sensors in 2015 with the Ursa 4.6K sensor. And really what we learned when building that sensor, we've been improving and developing upon ever since with every single camera or sensor that we bring out. Now, we combat these low light difficulties that some people suffer with through our dual ISO of up to 25,600 for those high dynamic range images and that incredible low light performance. And you have a native low gain of 400 and a native high gain of 3,200 ISO. Now, as a result of this, you really have the flexibility and adaptability of choosing your desired ISO to really help retain that integral dynamic range, that all-important sensitivity, and that latitude that is so vital to your images. Now, I can't talk about our dual ISO sensors without talking about our own internal proprietary format or codec, Blackmagic RAW. Now, this really integrates our technology between camera and post-production, really helping to optimize color fidelity throughout the chain. Now, it's first and foremost really designed for preserving and the protection of dynamic range and that color precision image information. And really, we do this without discarding color and image detail, which can often result in a fairly substandard clip. Our B-RAW processes only the sensor data and really relies on the post-production side of things to debayer and create that video information. Now, secondly, efficiency is very key in recording. And when you compare B-RAW to other RAW formats, which can often just be a large bucket of pixels that can demand a lot of processing, we work hand in hand with our sensor technology. And we do this to leverage the processing power of the camera to really help reduce those file sizes and still deliver the exact same bit depth, dynamic range, and control as RAW, with the information being encoded and saved in metadata. And then finally, we also have the ability to complete the chain by finishing and working with DaVinci Resolve in post-production. And this is the world's most used and well-renowned grading software. And this has been unified by our Generation 5 color science. And again, remember, there's also that offer going on that with any purchase of DaVinci Resolve Studio, you also get a free speed editor included, which again is a fantastic deal because you still have that power of the DaVinci Resolve Studio, which is so widely used in the industry. So our brand new 6K Pro was really built around the Generation 5 brand new color science, which is going to be included in the Pocket 4K and the Pocket 6K at a slightly later date. Now, this was really developed with DaVinci Resolve technology and IP processing internally within the camera. As I'm sure many of you are aware from if you've used our cameras or even if you haven't, our color science really does underpin our sensor performance. It helps reproduce those extremely accurate skin tones, that image clarity, and those beautiful lifelike colors to really help create a richness. Now, through our ever-evolving development, we've been able to fine-tune our color science to really allow creators to match both archive and current footage just to perfection. Obviously, we built upon our Generation 4 colour science, which is very popular and still widely used. And Generation 5 is a really fantastic addition, as it can very easily be manipulated and worked with in DaVinci Resolve to produce those vivid colours and that accurate representation of what the camera is really capturing. Now, when we look back at all of the shared technology that I've mentioned, we really feel that you cannot compromise on any of the unifying technology within our cameras. Again, you have the ease of use and operability of Blackmagic OS. You have the available light possibilities from our dual ISO sensors, again, which are only available in our Pocket family. You have the efficiency and the image preservation of our Blackmagic RAW, and you have the color fidelity and reproduction from our new Generation 5 color science. And these 4 areas really do encapsulate what you need in the camera to really create those cinematic images, something which is shared, again, throughout our entire core technology. So now that we've looked at the Pocket 4K and the 6K and how that impacted the 6K Pro, we've looked at the 6K Pro's brand new ergonomic additions, and then also some of the core shared technology that encompasses all of our cameras. Maybe now's the time to ask the question, well, which camera is best for me? So the short, easy response from me would be that it primarily depends on what technology you're looking for and maybe the unique project or scenarios that you're faced with. But for a slightly more in-depth answer, let's look at the primary differences that separate the Pocket family to really help you decide ultimately which camera is right for you. So this diagram may look a bit confusing at first, but really it's just here to explain the 6 areas that you would consider as a camera operator when you're choosing your desired camera. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list, but this is really just something that you would be looking for, such as your frame rates, your dynamic range, your ND filters, your resolution, your sensor size, or the speed of your rolling shutter. Now, when we look at the Pocket 4K to begin with, first and foremost, the Pocket 4K strength and what separates it is that it really has faster rolling shutter readouts, and it's approximately 16 milliseconds. And this really results in a more sensitive sensor and better handling of those low light situations. And when you combine this faster rolling shutter readout with our dual ISO, it can really help combat these issues while still retaining that all-important latitude. And again, as I've mentioned, we also have the smaller 4/3 sensor size. Now, this smaller size and resolution, again, is often better suited for documentaries or for ENG shooters, as they really prefer that deeper depth of field and also the wide range of those lightweight and small micro 4/3 lenses that the sensor brings. And finally, we also have the Pocket 4K's frame rates. Now, it can shoot up to 60 frames per second in 4K or 120 frames per second in HD windowed. And this really helps to create cinematic slow motion effects within a compact form factor camera. So as I mentioned in previous slides, we've seen the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K used for a wide variety of applications. Now, over the next few slides, we're going to be looking at some use cases where we've seen the camera being used. Now, this isn't us telling the end user where we think the camera should be used, but this is customer feedback and examples of things that have been shot and where we have seen the camera being used. This camera can be used for such a wide variety of applications, but this is really where we've seen end users using the cameras. And where we tend to predominantly see the Pocket 4K being used is maybe in event videography, where the demand nowadays is for a more cinematic approach. We also see online content creators using it for productions such as on YouTube. And again, this is really due to its ability to work with our ATEM streaming products, which was obviously the key feature and what was talked about in the webinar yesterday. We've also seen it used on independent film productions who really prefer that compactness and versatility of the camera when you maybe compare it to a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. And also we work very closely with film schools and universities, as it can really act as an educational camera for students. Because of the camera's ease of use and accessibility, it really makes it an obvious choice for creatives or students starting out in the industry. You know, whether this is their first experience on a Blackmagic camera or their first experience on a camera as a whole. This camera is very easy to use, and it just makes it a great camera to pick up and really test out for yourself for the first time ever. So moving swiftly on, we have the Pocket 6K now. And again, you can already see the changes slightly in the diagram highlighted. Obviously, the key changes lie in the benefit of the higher native 6K resolution. Now, the benefits obviously really include the ability to downsample to produce cleaner, sharper images, maybe in a 4K or a 2K deliverable. You can reframe or rescale your image in post-production. You can stabilize your image in post-production. You can maybe create multiple shots in one frame. And ultimately, it's to ensure that your work is future-proof for maybe when you're presenting it somewhere down the line. Now, when you pair this new 6K resolution with the larger Super 35mm sensor size, you get that incredible resolution in a compact form factor. And again, you have that access to a wide variety of cinematic EF lenses due to that new EF lens mount. And again, this allows you for better and shallower depth of field and that more notable bokeh. And obviously with the change in resolution from 4K to 6K, there's also a slight change in frame rates. So you now have 60 frames per second available in that new 6K resolution. Now, the Pocket 6K has really been used fundamentally by creatives desiring those cinematic aesthetics. Users have included music video creators who would often move on to maybe a larger TV drama or feature film production, but really see the music video industry as a great way to tell small, short, succinct, and very dramatic cinematic stories, again in a short space of time. We've seen the Pocket 6K used for large-scale advertising commercial productions, such as for fashion or for corporate events, and they can really utilize the camera and use many in unison to really perfectly match the image in post-production. And again, like with the Pocket 4K, we've seen the Pocket 6K being used on a high amount of independent feature films due to the new 6K increased resolution and that cinematic Super 35mm sensor. Now finally, we have the star of the show today, which is the Pocket 6K Pro. And again, as I mentioned, nothing has changed from the 6K sensor or core shared technology of the camera. The difference, looking at this diagram, is really just the inclusion of the internal motorized NDs. Now, putting aside all of the other brand new and exciting ergonomic additions that the 6K Pro offers, these NDs help the 6K Pro sit very nicely in between the 6K and the G2. It really acts as an alternate solution to the Pocket 6K by hosting some of these ergonomic additions, or it has the ability to complement maybe a larger camera. Now, the benefit of these NDs, again, was to allow the creators to shoot in wide aperture without overexposing. And you have the benefits of the shallower depth of field and those selective focus effects, whilst under maybe some constrained lighting conditions. Again, this really helps reduce the issue of external large rigging conditions. But we can't talk about the internal NDs without talking about the other additions that the 6K Pro brings, such as the new HDR touchscreen, the battery pro grip, or the EVF. And again, these are all based on functionality and operability. The internal NDs are really the perfect complement to the 6K sensor, and these all work together really to create the best camera possible for you, the end user. So following on from this trend, although we've not really had the 6K Pro out for too long in the hands of customers like yourselves to really get a feel for what you're using it for, but we really do think that these new features help the camera sit in a wide variety of new markets for us. Now, the Pocket family has always been used as a handheld device or with gimbals, including for run and gun productions, for documentary filmmakers, for location scouts, or as a pickup camera on larger films. But where we see the 6K Pro differing slightly is that we see it being used as a second camera or as a specialist camera, maybe for your visual effects work, as a crash camera, as a stunt camera, or in those non-intrusive situations. And it's really the ideal camera due to its small form factor and that high image quality. And you can also match the camera and match our color science with some larger cameras to really help create a seamless transition when maybe working in high-end Hollywood features, or again, to complement a larger camera. So finally, here is just a small comparison of all three of the cameras. And again, this really just shows where the main strengths lie on the 4K with the smaller 4/3 sensor, that micro 4/3 mount, and the new or the increased rolling shutter speed. And again, the 6K benefits from the introduction of that new 6K resolution and a super 35mm sensor size. And finally, the 6K Pro offers the new ND filters while still retaining all of that 6K core technology from the Pocket 6K camera. So now that we've taken a look at which camera may be the best camera for you, we will now want to look in the final section and really highlight a few customer stories of people who have chosen Blackmagic Design for their creative work. And these aren't just people who have used our Blackmagic Design cameras, but again, they've used our DaVinci Resolve or our DaVinci Studio to really help create and complete end-to-end Blackmagic Design workflows. So now you have it all the way through from sensor to codec, right the way through to post-production. And really, we're going to look at how the camera has been implemented. So we'll start by looking at cinematographer Martin Kavinsky and his wedding production company, Keiko Films. Now, Martin is an award-winning wedding videographer, and he's based in the Czech Republic. And he really creates high-end cinematic wedding films all over the world, primarily on the Pocket 4K, and he uses our entire workflow extensively and exclusively. So Martin films in a documentary style, really to interrupt as little as possible, and obviously to truly capture those emotional moments of such a special occasion that, again, can obviously never be recreated. And the small compact size of the Pocket 4K is really the ideal camera for this. Martin's emphasized his need for superb color grading and high image quality with a filmic look throughout his pipeline. And when you combine this need with a requirement for lots of storage to film an entire wedding, which could take 8, 9, 10 hours maybe, he chooses to film in our Blackmagic RAW codec for those reduced file sizes whilst maintaining that color fidelity and dynamic range. And as I mentioned, the entirety of this project is edited and graded using DaVinci Resolve for that complete end-to-end Blackmagic Design workflow. Another exciting customer story centers around a social media campaign for the Mercedes-AMG A-Class. And this was shot by DP Matteo Bertolli with the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K on our Blackmagic RAW codec. So this entire project, which was shot on location in Frankfurt in Germany, involved tracking and lighting a moving car through the streets and the traffic. Now, Matteo liked to utilize the native 6K resolution and that dual ISO against minimal existing street lights to really help create the drama of nighttime driving shots. And he combined this with a fluid contemporary dancer in some indoor studio scenes. Now, Matteo has used the Pocket Cinema camera for a very long time, and he shoots in Blackmagic RAW at 5:1 and 3:1 compression ratios in 6K at 48 frames per second and 24 frames per second. And Matteo benefits from the power of RAW in such small and efficient file sizes. Now, this was edited and graded completely with DaVinci Resolve Studio, again, providing that end-to-end workflow and consistency throughout the pipeline. And again, this is that DaVinci Resolve Studio that will include a free speed editor with the Highway AV offer that is going on at the moment. And again, you can really see how that DaVinci Resolve Studio is being used throughout the industry for some very high-end cinematic productions. Number 3 we have is the UK-based commercial agency, Still Moving Media. Now, they recently completed a project promoting the launch of a new Aston Martin Concorde edition with British Airways. And this was done to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the iconic Concorde's first flight. Now, Still Moving Media used the Pocket Camera 4K to deliver their client's vision of tracking and chasing an Aston Martin on a closed airfield. The camera was really chosen for its compact design and its lightness, as they were rigging it directly onto a vehicle, but they still wanted to be able to shoot and have internal raw recording. And also they had the ability to use EF lenses through a lens adapter for that superb image quality and that cinematic look that EF lenses can offer. And also Still Moving Media were able to record to CFast in RAW via an SDI direct to our own Blackmagic Design video assist, which was held by the first AD in the car. And the performance and the color science of the camera really provided incredible creative options in post-production. This project was fully edited and graded, again, on DaVinci Resolve. So a fairly high profile case that we're going to end on here involves the DOP John Brawley. Now, John used a combination of our Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K G2 and a Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. And John filmed The Great, which is a 2020 satirical costume drama being streamed on Hulu, starring Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult. So whilst John shot the majority of A-camera footage with an Arri Alexa SXT, he would often use the G2 and the Pocket 4K at the same time, shooting on Blackmagic RAW codec. Now, as John has mentioned, Blackmagic's range of cameras really gave him the most flexibility in choice when approaching a shot. He knew that he could use any camera and still get great shots. An example of this would be, as you can see from the image on screen, when hero close-ups of Elle Fanning were shot using the Pocket Cinema camera in handheld mode. Now, this is really a shot that he couldn't achieve with a larger or a bigger camera. Now, these images from the Arri and the Blackmagic cameras were seamlessly matched in post-production, as he felt the looks, the colors, and the dynamic range felt quite similar. And again, he used LUTs that were made in pre-production, again using that DaVinci Resolve software. So to summarize, we've explored the key innovative developments of the new 6K Pro and really where it sits in the family. We've also seen how the new ergonomic additions can enhance your production, really allowing for more creativity and operability when filming. We've also taken a look at where we see the 6K Pro fitting in the market, and I've given you some Pocket family use cases. But I'm sure you've got a ton of questions that you'd like to ask. So now we're going to move into a Q&A, but if you have any additional questions that you can't think of now, but maybe can after the webinar, then please reach out to us on the email address below, which is presales-emea@blackmagicdesign.com. Now, many thanks for joining me, and I hope you found this webinar very useful and insightful. And again, I just want to re-stress the offers that are going on. So again, the first 3 people after this webinar to purchase a 6K Pro will get that fantastic battery Pro Grip included. And now again with Highway AV, anyone who purchases DaVinci Resolve Studio will get a fantastic speed editor included. So these are really great offers and will really hopefully help create and boost your creativity when you're out there shooting. But again, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you found this insightful and useful, and let's go into a Q&A and see if anybody has any questions. But no, thank you so much for joining me. Back to the studio.
Presentation there. That information was really, really nice. As for
I think you might be on mute.
No, I'm not on mute. Hey, can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear you, to be honest.
Yes, in unmute huko. Unmute on that laptop, Abu. Your laptop, yes, in akonayo.
There we go.
Yes.
I can hear you now.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so I just say that was a great presentation, and I think that was quite detailed and explained very well. People who were watching were really complimenting that presentation. We've not received any questions in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania so far. So I'll just hand over to Highway Nigeria if you guys have any questions. Steve, do you have any questions from Nigeria?
Yeah.
Yeah, while we wait for Steve to give us the questions, as George has told you guys, we have an ongoing promo. That is, if you purchase an Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro, you get a free battery grip. As well, we have a DaVinci ongoing promo. If you purchase a DaVinci Resolve Studio 17, you get a free DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor keyboard. That is an offer that goes up to Friday. We also had an offer yesterday on the web broadcasting webinar. That was if you purchase an Atem Mini Extreme unit, you get Atem Mini unit for free. This offer also goes till Friday, so this is an offer that you better rush and grab because it only applies to the first 3 people to make the purchase of the mentioned products. Steve, do we have you back now? Oh,
if no, yeah, if we can, if there's no question.
I actually have a question, George.
Okay, great.
Yes, we have Fred Gikandi asking, I like the 6K Pro, but about the inbuilt stabilization. I wish it had Blackmagic planning to include it in the next. I quite didn't understand that, but I can read it again. I like the 6K Pro, but about the inbuilt stabilization. Wish it had a Blackmagic planning to include it in the next.
Okay, so I think you mean, are we going to include image stabilization in camera instead in our next iteration of cameras? That's a good question. I know that a lot of people have asked and have inquired about that, and that is something that we have taken on board. Again, obviously there is no image stabilization in the camera, but this is something that lots of people will use our post-production software for. But again, we will take that feedback on board, and I know other people have requested it. So any iterations that come out, just stay tuned to the website, and if there's any new products or anything that comes out, then that will be the first place to look. But again, we'll take your request and take your notes on board, and I can feed that back to the product team.
Thank you, George. We also have another question from the same person. He's asking, does the 6K Pro overheat like Sony A6300?
I've not had any or heard any issues of overheating yet, so no. From what I understand, there is no overheating issues. Again, you have the internal fans, and the camera keeps quite cool, and it's a nice, quiet, cool camera. So no, there's been no issues of overheating.
Yes, Fred, I think your questions have been answered. I'll just check with Highway Nigeria if we have them back. Steve, do we have you back?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. You can
proceed. Sorry about that. We had a technical glitch here. All right. So I have a few questions here. Someone just asked that if what's the major power difference between the previous 6K camera, pocket camera, and the 6K Pro? What are the differences in the power solution that was offered, based on the fact that the previous edition had a low battery life compared to this one? That is there an improvement in longer battery life from the 6K on the 6K Pro from the regular 6K? Is there an improvement on the battery life?
Yeah, so there is an improvement in the battery life. Obviously, you have that battery pro grip, which now allows you to use 3 batteries all at once. So with the older battery pro grip, the way the battery pro grip would insert into the camera is you have to remove the internal battery out to slot it in, so you'd only have 2 batteries. But also they now use new NPF 570 batteries, which are larger batteries. And again, you should get about, whereas with the older models, you're maybe getting about 45 minutes per battery, and you could only have 2 in at any time. You're now getting around an hour per battery, and you can have 3 batteries included 3 batteries running at the same time. But again, it fluctuates depending on your recording formats or your frame rates you're using or your codec or your compression. But yeah, you should get about an hour per battery, and now you can have 3 hours, where as opposed to maybe the hour and a half to 2 hours you would get with the previous models. So there's a significant upgrade in terms of battery life.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know if you answered this question. If it has to do with SDI.
Still, we can't quite hear you well. Your signal is breaking.
Okay, that's a plan for that.
Yeah, so if you could kindly just share the questions with me, I can read them to George.
Can you hear me, George?
Yeah, I can hear you a bit better, yeah.
Okay, I said, do you have a plan for SDI output in the Pocket Cinema series anytime soon?
No, so again, this is future product development.
I can't hear you. I'm just running fly.
We obviously have the adapters where you can convert HDMI to We obviously have our converters where you can convert HDMI to SDI signal, but again, we have our larger cameras that have an SDI output. But where we really see the pocket camera being is there is no current need for SDI output. But again, this is something that I can take on board and feed back to the product development team about requests for SDI. But again, a lot of people are still using the HDMI for a lot of production. So as far as I'm aware, there's no plans, but again, stay tuned to the website and to our news, and any updates will come from that. But I can take that information and feed that on board.
Oh, thank you so much, Judge. It's been fantastic having you. Over to you, Fauzia.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for those wonderful questions. And thank you again, George, for that presentation. It was really wonderful. We are definitely looking forward to having you on this platform again with much more information, because this is really something that is going to help us make good use of the products that we have. You know, sometimes we don't utilize it to the maximum. This is the information we need to make maximum utility of the equipment itself. So really appreciate the presentation today, and definitely looking forward to having you again on this platform.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for having me. It's been great fun, and hopefully I'll see you all fairly soon. But thank you very much for having me.
Don't leave just yet. I have one more question again from the same person, Fred. One last one though. How well is the autofocus for this 6K Pro? We know Canon is not that best in nailing focus, and the 6K Pro using the EF lenses, we know it might struggle a bit. So how is the autofocus for 6K Pro?
So no, there's no continuous autofocus or anything like that. Really, this camera was really built from the ground up for cinematic purposes, and to be honest, it's not been the largest priority, really due to it being more of a cinematic product, and we tend to focus more on high-end image quality with those greater codecs. So I know people have been requesting autofocus. We obviously have the kind of the one-shot autofocus, but there is no continuous autofocus. But again, that is something that we feel is from a more photographic background and not a cinematic background that our camera is intended to be used for. I hope that sums it up. But again, this is feedback that I can take on board that customers have been mentioning.
Thank you so much, George. I think that was the last one from Fred Gikandi. Those were questions from our Highway Nigeria, Highway Uganda, and Highway Kenya. And also we keep receiving some questions from Highway Tanzania, only that today we don't have any from Highway Tanzania, but always a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you very much for having me. It's been great.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yes, guys, that was George. And I just want to remind those people who are joining us right now that we have an ongoing promo that is starting yesterday. We had web broadcasting webinar with Chris Javin from Black Magic Technical Sales Specialist. We had a promo that was, if you purchase an Atem Mini Extreme unit, you get a free Atem Mini unit. The promo ends on Friday. For today's webinar, we had also another 2 promos actually. You purchase a Pocket 6K Pro, you get a free camera battery grip, and then as well you purchase DaVinci Resolve Studio 17. You get a DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor keyboard. This offers last only up to Friday and only applies to the first 3 people to make purchases of the products that I just mentioned. Yes, guys, better rush and be among the first 3 because this only comes once. And I just want to appreciate you all for taking time to be part of our 2 days webinar, and definitely looking forward to having others and you joining us. If you have any questions about any Black Magic product, guys, you can find us on our social media accounts. For Highway Kenya is, we have an account on Facebook where you're joining us from, that is Highway Audiovisual Solutions Kenya. On Twitter is at Highway AVS Kenya. Instagram, Highway AVS Kenya. And on YouTube, where some of you are joining us from, is Highway Audiovisual Solutions Kenya. If we can have Highway Nigeria social media handles, Steve.
Yeah, how we doing? Thank you so much, George.
Thank you so much, George.
Like my colleague has said, it has been fantastic, and we have a lot of promo for you. Like she said earlier on, for the first 3 people that will buy the Atem Extreme, you get the Atem Mini for free. Also, if you purchase the Atem, the Black Magic Pocket Cinema 6K Pro, you will get the battery Pro for free. These are just for the first 3 people. And for those of our guys in post-production, we got you covered. So if you have just buy the DaVinci Resolve Studio, you will get 1 DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor. And that will just, I'll tell you, it's save you a whooping $319. This offer lasts while there's stock. So please take the advantage and place your order right away. Try to be among the. But for the DaVinci promo, it lasts while we have the stock for it. Thank you so much. Over to you, Fauzia.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, before I go, our social media handle on Nigeria is Highway AVNG on Twitter, and on Facebook it's Highway AVSNG. On Instagram is Highway AVSNG. Email, you can email us at africasales at highwayavs.com. To call us, you can send us a WhatsApp message on +234 818 105 1796. I repeat, you can send us a WhatsApp or a phone call +234 818 105 1796. We'll be expecting your call and your email. Thank you. Over to you, Fauzia.
Steve, yes, those were our Highway Nigeria social media handles. As well, guys, you should feel free to visit us in our offices if you are in Nairobi or if you're in Kenya. Our offices are located in Nairobi at South B. The building is Trans Towers on upper ground floor, office number 6, and we will always be happy to have you around. You can come for demos on any Black Magic product and any other information. Also, you can reach us on our mobile number, which is +254 796 26 20 28. I'll just repeat that, +254 796 26 20 28. Yes, guys, so we are here to help you out with any problems you might encounter while using our products. That was really nice, and looking forward to having you in our upcoming webinars again. Before I go and before I tell you bye-bye, those of you who are joining us, I just want to tell you about the ongoing promo once again. We had a promo starting yesterday. That is, if you purchase Atem Mini Extreme unit, you get a free Atem Mini. If you purchase Pocket 6K Pro, you get a free battery grip. And also, if you purchase DaVinci Resolve Studio 17 from us, you get a free DaVinci Speed Editor keyboard. Yes, DaVinci Speed Editor keyboard. That is an offer that I don't think any one of you wants to miss. This only applies to the first 3 people to make the purchase, and offer will last till Friday of this week. Thank you so much, and have a good day ahead.